Look, I'm not gonna waste your time. I know this is my first video and all, but we just gotta talk about Salty Pogue. This guy's video where he claims that 5.56 is a wounding round. It's just wrong.
Really give you guys an understanding of the mindset behind developing this new cartridge about. You will bond with these people over the course of months to years. You will embrace the suck with them, have a brotherhood most will never understand, ones you'll laugh and cry with, people whose families you'd have met, parents that raised them, their children, the only legacy they'd have to leave behind. Whoever's face you just thought of right now, why don't you imagine that face in the chaos of conflict, begging for you to help them, calling you by your name, tears in their eyes. Imagine what that's going to do to you psychologically. You know they're pretty much dead as it is. There's not much you can do. Because in the real world, firefights aren't 5-minute events. No. You could be pinned down for hours. The person on the other end of that gun wants you to be a hero, wants you to run out, try to save him. But you know what will happen the moment you leave your cover. Instead, maybe you can drown it out with the sound of the suppressive fire snapping like a whip above your head. Maybe you fire a few blind shots just in hopes of initiating some tinnitus. Maybe it'll last long enough for the screaming to stop. Mortifying as that is, how do you get that approved by the Geneva Convention with that intent? Well, it's simple, really. When you dress up the words a little bit fancier and refer to it as a
more humane way to neutralize threats while minimizing lethality? Well, a bunch of dumbass politicians don't know any better. So let's take a look into the method to the madness and see what old Uncle Sam had intended usages for this cartridge. For all intents and purposes, let's say we're engaging a squad-size element with a standard composition. Get a good shot and injure a rifleman. Now because he's injured, he needs a medic. Now the medic needs to address that issue because now time is of the essence.
Despite the very emotional performance, the wounding round myth has been debunked many times. And you know what? Here are my sources, and I'll just read them for you straight from the development of the 5.56 round. The crux of Hall's experiment is that a smaller caliber could or even exceed the performance of a larger bore. Moreover, a smaller bore weapon might have superior hit probabilities at shorter ranges. Thus, combined with additional cartridges carried per unit weight, a soldier carrying a smaller caliber weapon will be able to inflict more casualties upon the enemy than another soldier with a larger caliber weapon. He, by the way, attempts to claim that this whole weight argument was never a factor in the development of the 5.56 round. Here it is, right here. Given such, an infantry weapon designed to provide controllable pattern dispersion within the 300-yard range might be preferable than a weapon that provides precise shots at a longer distance. Furthermore, at shorter ranges, a smaller caliber weapon might give acceptable wounding effects and allow for a controllable salvo or volley automatic fire. The key to effectiveness is control. An uncontrollable automatic weapon is seen to be no more advantageous than a semi-auto counterpart. Hitchman projects that a 4-round salvo for predictable 20-inch spread might provide the double the hit probability at 300 yards over a single shot fired from the M1 rifle, that being the M1 Garand. A lighter, smaller caliber cartridge would have the side benefit of allowing enough ammunition to be carried for an equivalent number of shots fired to the individual cartridge capacity of the current rifle, that being the M1 Garand, because this happened during the 50s. Now, if we go even a little bit further and look at Norman Hitchman, the person that they're referring to here, he specifically states in his own work that there is no sound basis for arguing against the merit of disposing the enemy in the shortest possible time by inflicting maximum physical trauma. For the infantry hand-arm, the infliction of severe wounds that are immediately incapacitating is important. This is one of the people responsible for the adoption of the 5.56 rifle, which this other source is citing, meaning that he is also advocating for the maximum amount of lethality possible rather than this whole wounding round idea that he's pushing in the video. Furthermore, let's go over this. The infantry board has extended the original 300-yard ideal to 400 yards to pacify certain Conarch members, almost said Conrack. Conarch being the Continental Army Command, which was the group responsible for developing the 5.56 rifle, and once again to 500 yards to ensure acceptance at the Pentagon. The finalized request calls for a 6-pound select-fire .22-inch rifle with a conventional stock and a 20-round magazine. The proposed chambering has to penetrate the issue steel helmet body armor and a .135-inch steel plate at 500 yards while maintaining the trajectory and accuracy of M2 ball from an M1 Garand and equaling or exceeding the wounding ability of the .30 carbine, meaning that they wanted it to have more wounding capacity if possible. Essentially, they wanted the 5.56 round to have as much performance as possible with the smaller cartridge in mind. They knew that there were limitations to how lethal the round could be, but this doesn't say that they wanted it to be a wounding round. They wanted it to have as much lethality as they could possibly fit in the smaller package. There's no statements of intentionally reducing lethality. If like, it literally says that they wanted to increase it, so there's no point in making this less than lethal argument. And there's another point to bring up, which I would really like to hear his response on this, but why even field things like the M240 or the PKM if Army's objectives were to not kill people and they literally put these smaller rounds in to wound people? Why are medium machine guns fielded by practically every military, including the US and Russia, which he claims that Russia also put 5.5 in as a wounding round? I would really like to hear his response to that, but you know, he just started bringing up fucking Warhammer, so I don't know what's going on with that. And I actually brought all of these statements up to him, but he deleted the comments multiple times and then denied it. You know, here's the screenshots of him both deleting the comments and denying doing it. And look, he keeps bringing up that he's an armorer. I don't give a shit that you're an armorer. You literally styled a fucking field manual about cleaning an M16, which has nothing that supports his wounding round claims. I actually looked through it because I guess he thought I wouldn't check his source. And, you know, it's a fucking manual about how to clean and maintain the M16. It has nothing to do with whether the history behind the gun or whether it was a wounding round or not. It has nothing in there, so nice try, buddy. But I'm just sick of the FUD myths, and it's really ironic because he claims in this video that he's here to dispel myths when he's actually only perpetuating them.
Well, as clear up any recited fallacies surrounding it passed down from FUD-ass COD historians.
You know, I actually really love to have a discussion on the intermediate cartridge and why it was adopted, but this guy is just spurging out at me like a fucking man-child. I think he believes that I'm a proponent of the battle rifle, and I think that everyone should have battle rifles and have most lethal as possible. I think that's why I was bringing up the Warhammer comments, but that's just not my point at all. I was just bringing up the fact that the whole wounding round idea is completely wrong. I don't think he understands what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know what the fuck he's doing, actually. If we're really being honest, none of his comments really make that much sense. He's really just insulting me rather than actually discussing on this topic that, you know, I guess it's my fault for actually caring about, you know, the history behind some cartridge and trying to engage with some fucking drunk retard about this. But I'm not some E1 in the army that you can bully. You're not in the military anymore. I don't care that you're an armorer. I don't have to fucking listen to you. Like, dude, you're not my fucking sergeant. You can't fucking talk down on me and just try to make me submit like this. And I'd rather put the video out here so you can't just delete my comments. I get that this guy has like a huge ego because he was a fucking pogue. And I get that you don't like hearing that the video that you spent so much time to work on is wrong. And of course, no one wants to like work so hard on a video and take it down. So I get that he might be mad about that. But he's just acting really gay and annoying by doing all of this. Just don't be like this fucking guy. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3.